Welcome to Different Gravy, not just another Sheffield Wednesday podcast. I'm one of the hosts, Richard Miller, and my co-host, he's a very busy boy. We are lucky to have him direct from his place at the front of the Freedom Convoy on a bridge near Ottawa, Dr. Luke Gledall. How are you doing today, Luke?
I'm good. Thanks for making that comparison.
And you keep saying those flags are because they are the nats, not that you like nats.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No and? I think that's
No and.
No and.
If but.
Yeah.
Where, when, and why.
Rich is the podcasting equivalent of Michael Scott doing his improv when he goes, I've got a gun!
I've got a gun. And then he's told he's not allowed to have a gun, and he still whispers to the guy he has a gun. Excellent work from Michael Scott.
Excellent.
Sorry about that, Luke. I mean, it's topical in its favour.
Yeah.
Is it low-hanging fruit? Yes. It's the lowest of low-hanging fruit. It's fruit hanging so low that you should maybe leave it, because can it be good and be that close to the ground? Probably. It's got worms. How are you anyway? Well,
I'm doing well. Here we are, kind of trying to do a first half record, as you said. It's 12 hours and 42 minutes of the kickoffs.
Yeah. We're recording the first half now. If we wanted to be very clever with editing, we could have a section where we make a prediction of the score for tomorrow and drop that in. So, if we wanted to, we could maybe set ourselves a little extra job as being tipsters. Because we got this one score perfectly right.
Yeah. That would be quite funny, because I'm going to do the editing, so I could go back and then I could just go.
What's your prediction? Then you just go 3, 1.
2-0.
Yeah.
To Sheffield Wednesday.
So you could really make yourself look good on a prediction basis there. You could drop it in post-match.
I could do. Anyway, should we get going? We'll try and cover some breaking hoo-hoos, and then let's do it.
It is our one time.
Breaking hoo-hoos.
Breaking hoo-hoos, and obviously the major bit of breaking that was with tabletop botherers Wigan, but just prior to that, a little bit of fun on the socials. Hutch and his busy mate Palms picked their bestest 11 each on YouTube. It's always interesting. I mean, Hutch is he's a fascinating character. He's always sort of spilling little extras, either on purpose or by accident. But, once again, an opportunity for him to maybe sort of quietly settle some scores and silently knife other people in the back. This is a fun thing to do, isn't it? I mean, it's a staple of, I think, sort of Soccer AM and Sky Sports is going on and picking favourite 11s to have played with. I think what was surprising to me more than anything, we're gonna sort of talk through. Hutch did his 11 first and subs, so we're going to talk through that, and then we'll do Palmer's. But I think what was surprising to me, I do sort of forget sometimes just how long Hutch has been with us.
It's true, isn't it? I mean, how long is that? I mean, for the sake of, we talked about you could review a player of a decade, and effectively for Sheffield Wednesday, maybe for better or worse, maybe that player is Liam Palmer, considering he's been here basically the same part of a decade.
Yeah.
Pretty much. But I mean, Hutchinson has been here a very, very long time with Sheffield Wednesday.
I think the one that in particular surprised me is that he overlapped with Antonio. I can't quite get that in my head, really.
Well, that's so I mean, for Sam Hutchinson's Sheffield Wednesday career, it must have been, it was 13-14 he joined us. But I seem to think, was he a January?
But he was, yes, I'm pretty sure.
So it was January 2014. So, I mean, basically the guy has been here 8 years. 8 years now. So, I mean, I guess there is a little bit of coverage for Antonio, because we forget that, following promotion season, God, how many seasons of Antonio did we have after promotion season. We must have signed him on a pretty lengthy deal when we did finally sign him.
We did. I think we did. I seem to remember I feel like it was only probably 2 seasons in the championship with
which makes sense, because I think if it was probably like summer 2014, he went off to Forest.
Yeah.
In that timeline, and also there's the really weird thing with Antonio, the fact that like isn't he like one of West Ham's top goal scorers or something like this?
He's their highest ever goal scorer in the Premier League. He's their all-time top scorer in the Premier League.
Right. So there is a bit of revisionist history in the process, but I mean it's still.
Well, yeah, because Sky wants us started in the Premier League. Every single record they ever talk about within the Premier League. Not that, considering the length of stories. Yeah, so Antonio joined us in 2012, left in.
I mean, 14. Well, he's got over like 50 goals in the Premier League.
Yeah.
It's pretty insane. But yeah, no, it's a strange kind of segue. Strange being like these players are here at the same time.
I think I just didn't. I thought Hutch came a bit later. I thought Antonio maybe left a bit earlier. If I was piecing it together prior to this, I wouldn't have had those two characters necessarily overlapping. Whereas Palmer has almost taken on the opposite thing, where it's hard to remember a time when he wasn't at the. He's been there so long, and he never played a game with Chris Waddle. No, never ever.
Chris Waddle kicked it over to the feet of Liam Palmer. Just needed the wafer thin touch that you would attribute with a baby that's still in its mother's belly.
So, I mean, I don't know how best to do this, but interestingly, I think the first surprise is Hutchinson does not pick Westwood as his goalkeeper. He picked Chris Kirky.
Because the interesting thing is, I mean, they said they went through this process, and Hutchinson kind of said that it felt unfair to include any players who are playing now.
Current players, yeah.
Current players. But I guess there's an interesting thing with that, because they do as they are mates, they give each other a bye to put each other in their own team.
Yes, yeah.
So that's one thing to kind of start with. But then,
apart from I think he's in my team because he's my best mate.
That's what it kind of comes out with. But then the mentality being like it's unfair to even some of the cream of the crop. So like the fact that obviously by the process of doing this, you're including kind of a tier of professional and highly paid professionals who include Barry Bannon, who's still with the football club, but is still notably better than some of the players that you pick within the team. So it's a strange combination to come. I can kind of see some of the mentality of why they're doing it, but then just thinking, my eyes are clapping on one member, especially at that centre mid that we can come on to.
I think there's 2 people that really, really stand out in his team. So I'll just run through it for the folks, because we've got it up on screen. Obviously, the folks necessarily have it. So Kirkland in goal, Palmer as his Tom Lees, and Michael Turner as his 2 centre-backs. Pudil.
I feel like you're going, it is Michael Turner, isn't it? I can't remember his first name.
Yeah, Pudil left back. Coke and Semedo in midfield, joined by Wallace on the right wing and a floating Forestieri, and then Joao and makeup. He does name subs. Do you want to do subs separately, or do you want to get into those now as well?
Let's do the subs as well, please. Yeah, let's do that now. Just get the overall full view.
So that's where Westwood makes the team.
Makes the grade.
He gets Westwood, Boydie, George Boyd, Hooper, Antonio, and then Guards, who I believe will be Anthony Gardner. And I think they joined at the same time. I think that was the same January window. So yeah, so the ones that stand out are, to me, Coke and Turner. I'm also surprised by Boyd, to be honest.
On a subs bench, especially when there's a lot of developed players who you were before in this instance. I mean, Turner came up with there seems to be a favourite in terms of, I think this person was a great player, and there's also a favourite in I really like this person in the dressing room. This is someone who I really like.
Yeah. So
Turner is one of those people. So he was Turns is another guy from, he's from the south. Also, Michael Turner is someone who we haven't talked about explicitly recent times in the podcast, but we talked about players like him, the experienced, decent, experienced head at the rear guard who is very well esteemed and is supposed to come in to do very well. I don't remember Michael Turner a great deal. I think also it probably drifted in the period before kind of iFollow while I was here in Canada. So I'm aware of that, but I'm aware that he didn't set 11 times. Wow. I was wondering whether it was maybe more than 11 times, but I don't remember him ever really covering himself from any glory. It wasn't a particularly great transfer.
One cup game, so it's 12 appearances in total, 11. It's quite an impression to leave on Hutch when he's been at the club for now 7 years and change. I know them being current players. Okay, that's fair enough. But
so who else in the process? You're basically looking over Louvens at this point.
Louvens is a big one. Yeah.
Gardner had a much more better effect and very limited scope for Sheffield Wednesday than Michael Turner, and you've looked over him there. So, it still baffles me in so many ways. I know the mentality of what we're doing here. I know what they're doing, but still, there's so many questions that come up with an exercise like this.
Yeah. So, intriguing.
And again, Giles Coke. I mean, who else have we really had in the centre mid side of? Who other centre mids have we looked over that have had a bigger impression than Giles Coke? How about Lopez? You remember Alex Lopez?
Yeah, Lopez was fantastic, wasn't it? Yeah.
And also the funny thing is, they go through this like
unreliable person as well. Coke Palmer sort of says at one point that they were coming into the matches together and coming in to training together, and he figured out that basically a good idea, but anytime Coke was in charge, you were late. So not even someone that you could kind of go, oh, he's a good pro, it seems, but still making the cut, making the grade above someone
who you were actively avoiding because he's going to put a jeopardy on your own professional career and your association.
Yes, yeah.
Which is a strong word to say about fellow Sheffield Wednesday podcast host Giles Coke. But I mean, there's a lot of people you've looked over in that process.
So, I mean, for instance, there's no Kieran Lee. I think he does talk about that being like, oh, he sort of excuses himself by saying, oh, that feels like he's still a player or something. He's still with us or something like that, which is like, yeah.
But we've not given the condition that these players have to be retired.
No. So it's a bit of it also, I mean, if he's picked Coke, that means he's overlooked Prutton. Prutton and Coke played together.
Yeah, Prutton had a better...
higher than Coke, to my mind.
Chris Lyons had a much better impression at Sheffield.
Yeah, I don't know whether they would have crossed over.
They wouldn't have, no. No, that's fair.
But Coke, I mean, outside of, as you say, he's also a podcaster. It's very nice that he's taken Sheffield to his heart. That's great. But outside of about 4 games at the beginning of that season...
outside of an electric start to League One campaign, yeah.
I mean, I've never been... Coke loses its fizz after a short period of time being opened, and man alive, did Giles Coke lose his fizz as a player like that. I've very rarely been as excited by the first few games of anybody. He looked incredible. He looked like he could do everything. And also, I think fondly remember that shirt, the black with the yellow stripes. I think he did some wonderful work in that as well. But just disappeared, just stopped producing anything after about a month. And sort of that seems to have been what happened several places for him. Interesting. I mean, obviously, part of this is their mate, stuff like that. So if he's stayed in Sheffield, they've stayed in touch, loyalty there in that regard. So that's fair enough. But seems a strange one on merit. I think you could probably rustle a fair few players.
The front two is an interesting one, isn't it? With Zhao and Ati, JWoww and the Kosovan.
Yes.
Going in there. I mean, you're overlooking Gary Hooper, you're overlooking Stephen Fletcher.
Yeah, it's an interesting combination. I'm sure Ati is someone that you appreciate as a player, possibly more than fans do necessarily. Like, I'm sure it's a huge help on the pitch. Yeah, it's a bit odd. Antonio makes it to the bench. Hooper makes it to the bench.
Which I guess for the sake of his Sheffield Wednesday career and the overlapping, I think it's fair to Antonio in that lens. Palmer has more of a lens on Antonio, which I think we get onto with Palmer's 11. Hoops and guards is good. But Westwood and Boydie, there seems to be comments about how well they trained with the under-23s,
Yes,
seemingly in the period of Sam Hutchinson's time at Sheffield Wednesday, that he
exiled.
was exiled from the first team through probably like Jos Lukai.
And so
French.
it says Sammy gets the captain. He tells people off for calling Atty Big Dave. He didn't mention anything about calling, so I think we're on safe ground. And he loves
I'm
it.
sure he'll find that very respectful. Would Atty New?
Yes, yeah. So do we want to move on to Palmer's?
Let's do that.
11?
Yeah.
So yeah, Palmer obviously a longer
scope in terms of his
scope to draw things out over. There's some interesting choices here as well. So we've got Westwood in goal. He goes for West. We have Lewis Buxton right back. Hutchinson, interestingly, they
repaying a favour.
He puts him in centre back rather than midfield. Rob Jones, Reeder Johnson, Ross Wallace again, Semedo again. This time, Kieran Lee makes the team. And Johnson's on that left, which I think is always that was. And up front, Clinton Morrison and Mikel Antonio. An interesting pairing. And then we come to his subs bench. So he picks up Emil Martinez, who didn't really pull up any trees at Wednesday, but obviously has gone on to he's the national keeper for Argentina now, and he's first choice keeper in the Premier League in Villa. Tom Lees makes his bench. Can you see who the third one is?
Well,
Coke. He's gone for Coke as well.
Coke again, yeah.
Coke again. Stephen Fletcher and Atty Nuyu. So intriguing.
Again, repaying the favour by including his friend Hutchinson there, but as you said, not in centre midfield. Rob Jones is an interesting one. I mean, Rob Jones was an absolute colossus for us in that promotion season. I still feel a little bit frustrated that he was a core of that spine that never really got the chance to kind of show what they could give in the championship in that following season.
Yeah.
Jones was one of those cast aside. Reeder's kind of fun. That's a fun left back option.
This is much more like a team I would have picked, I think. I know obviously Palmer's got more players to draw on because of long. Reeder Johnson's good fun at left back. And there is a comment about apparently like Semedo and Reeder Johnson were if they were they trained like they played is what they said. So you really didn't want to be against them when you were playing short-sided matches or matches in training. And if you were on the same team as them, you felt fairly into those practice matches. But the other way around, very inexperienced. Ross Wallace in both teams. Semedo in both teams. I think that's sort of got saying, and I'm sure if Atty to play with, making life easy for his teammate, Semedo surely one of the best people to have play with you. Loved seeing JJ included. Loved seeing Kieran Lee included. What do you make of the front two? I think the front two is interesting. Yeah,
it kind of falls apart the front two. Like everything there, I'm happy to agree with, even with the caveat that the situation with coming and following Sam Hutchinson's and seeing a degree of the lens of bringing him into the picture, I'm okay with that. I'm fairly happy. He seems to talk about Clinton Morrison like a bit of a big brother figure.
Yeah.
So again, there seems to be a greater personal connection than anything we can probably see reflected on the pitch.
It's a mixture, isn't it? Playing to go on, but Clinton Morrison as a Sheffield Wednesday player, well and truly a spent force by the time he got to us, at least at our level of football. I know he played until very recently, didn't he, Clinton Morrison? But he was a huge disappointment.
And then Antonio, who I think we would naturally think of as a winger for a Sheffield Wednesday career. I know he's especially with...
Jones did play him as a centre forward occasionally, particularly towards the end of his time, because really we had such a rubbish team. Interestingly, a rubbish team that had Giles Coke in, but we had such a poor team that really the tactic was just give it to Antonio and hopefully he'll run away and do something. the whole team just sort of sat back and watched Antonio be like a one-man army in half of the field. We just sat back and defended. And whether that was technically being up front or technically being on a wing, much like being, I think it looks a lot like what he asked West Ham, although now he's got the benefit of playing in a slightly more forward thing. Most of the time at West Ham, he's been in a similar sort of arrangement. It's a very defensive back setup, and then he's the guy that's the free rein to go and try and do. Yeah, interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing, for instance, a Barry Bannon version of the same. I don't know who else could do it with him. Who else has got that kind of longevity?
We're really struggling. I mean, they're three of the characters who are still kind of been around the club for quite a while now, haven't they? I mean, Hutchinson had a brief escape, right? But yes. But I think we're almost seeming, because it's every season, effectively, for the last 7-8 seasons. So it's almost a continuous experience.
Yeah. Maybe it doesn't need to be somebody that's been that long. But no, I think it's a fun idea. Pleasing to see them do it. And I can totally understand why they've made the to pick current players, but then I wonder how many would get near it. Obviously, Bannon with them. I hope and expect to be part of that. I think Luongo probably have over Hutchinson.
Yeah.
Do you think we've done enough on that, Luke?
I think so. I think we can move on now, yeah.
Our roads and big now. So yeah, as we touched on the other bit of news, we treat it as news in the week, was our midweek match with Wigan. Wigan in pretty fine fettle, not lost in the league since October. We're previously one of only 3 teams I think they'd lost to all season in the league. So up against a pretty formidable opponent. Probably one of the highlights of the first half of the season is our win against them. So yeah, interesting to see this. When you have a win like that, it's interesting to see the sort of reverse of it. We had the Plymouth game where we got an absolute spanking at their place, and then they came to Hillsborough and we actually outperformed expectation. You worry sometimes when you've gone to their place and won that maybe you're going to get a bit of a reaction to that, because teams don't like losing at home, and tends to be a bit of the motivation for upping their game and upping their performance the next time round. So the major change for this game between the game at the weekend was Nathaniel Mendes-Lang dropped to the bench. So again, probably rested. We're trying to manage players through a very busy period on the calendar. As Luke reminded, Tuesdays always follow Saturdays, but they don't always have matches attached to them. So when you have two matches in back to back in this way, you can. Sometimes it's nice to be able to mix up the players. And we've talked about maybe the only place you've got good options at this point in time is up top. So Canberry shuffles back into the pack, So, yeah, what did you? I mean, were you pleased to see Canberry in? How did you feel about Mendes-Lang? Mendes-Lang's been a real stalwart these last few games. Were you disappointed to see him benched?
I was a bit. I get the point of rotation and a bit of management, especially when the games are thick and fast, especially when the other options aren't so delicious, appetizing, appealing. It's Mendes-Lang's more of the photographed McDonald's burger. And other option, is maybe the sad reality you get on a graveyard shift at a midweek, maybe McDonald's in Wigan, perhaps, maybe at the 2 a.m. slot when you're drunk and rock through the drive-through.
And expecting Mendes-Lang and turning up and getting Canberry, maybe very much like the experience in the UK, visiting McDonald's right now, excited about getting their chicken Big Mac and finding out it's been so popular they've had to pull it from sale already after a week.
Oh dear.
Brexit and COVID are working hand in hand to make life in the UK better every day. My first note, though, was so this is we're on a good run. Wednesday are on a good run. We go into games against big teams, hopefully not feeling particularly cowed by what they're bringing to the table, and hopefully excited by what we can do on these games. But the first note I've got was a very, very close call for Wigan in the 5th minute, which was from a long throw. which I don't know why we're so bad at defending long throws. Even bad ones seem to cause us headaches. And there were some really bad long throws from today. Not today, but sorry.
Do you think maybe if we think about it, it was interesting. You were mentioning talking about looking at lineups and how they do in practice matches, and it just made me think at the back of my head at that point. There's no point to kind of bring it up while we're talking about them, Rich, but it made me think about what is the strengths of practicing against the best things that you have at the football club.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's maybe, unfortunately, an unfortunate thing maybe about the existing practice matching is that set piece wise we're not as highly tuned probably as our wage bill stature performances in this league kind of attribute. So maybe that's the reason why we don't seem to typically do the long throw in a great deal. Yeah. It's something that, hast thou considered the patter pod on the previous podcast is, Patterson's it's been fun when he's kind of managed to dish that out. Yeah. Hunt's not too bad at long throws. It's not quite it's not in the Rory Delap end of the throw-in spectrum or the Exodus Geargan. If you remember that gentleman.
I do remember him.
Do. It's probably a bit more kind of Tommy Spur-esque, maybe in a sense. Yeah, but it's not something that we're using enough for us to probably defend against on the training ground, and then obviously that's not translating well into the real games.
Yeah, they're kind of they've got workable long throws. They don't have really special long throws. It used to be like a weird gift that some people have and some people don't. Mm-hmm. I don't think necessarily particularly trained well. It's interesting as you say, because from in practice in the week, really all we've got is what we have. There's a big UFC fight. I occasionally dip in experience with MMA to draw examples, but there's a big thing when two fighters are coming together, that you get somebody that can mimic the style of your opponent, and every now and then you get somebody that's so unique that you'd struggle to get just one person who can fight in that style. So you might need several people who do different things. So I wonder if there's a case of maybe you would draft in a curmudgeonly old Rory Delap to throw long balls at you to see just to sharpen your defense to them. That might be an interesting thing to do. But yeah, this one resulted in a kind of bobbling around our box. Magenis, who was a real headache all game, he is just a big awkward bugger. Very much a kind of in that Chris O'Grady mold of, he's an absolute unit, he can move, and what he lacks in maybe sort of finesse and skill, he more than makes up for in just sort of persistence and little tricks and all the dark arts, a bit like our old friend Stephen Fletcher. But he managed to head it back across the 6-yard box, and then McGrath, I think it was arriving. Really, he gets it on target to goal. Like, he had the whole goal gaping for him, but somehow managed to hit it wide. So that was a real let off early doors. We were lucky that happened. We had our best sort of early effort was from Liam Palmer, probably from distance. We had a nice Liam Palmer roaming goal threat effort in the 8th minute. He just looked up, saw that there was nothing much on for him, and unleashed an effort towards the far post, but fairly easily gathered. We don't tend to do these particularly minute by minute, but I have done my notes minute by minute, so I don't know whether we just want to go with that flow. Do feel free to break in wherever. The 10th minute, I've got it's a great tackle by Byers in midfield that breaks to Bannon and Johnson, who and Johnson gets a great cross away. Amos, he's really good. I don't know whether this is on purpose or whether these are the opportunities he's getting, but he's really like fizzing these crosses in at the near post, making the keeper kind of do something, but hitting it hard enough that it's not easy to catch it, so they end up having to kind of spill it across the front of their goal. But unluckily for us this time, it went behind. He managed to touch it behind Canberry just to poke it home. But a nice sniff of things early doors, and once again Johnson proving his worth in an attacking sense. Story went very close from a corner. I think that might have been directly after that. Story had a really good header. Again, he seems to be getting better pretty much every game and adding a bit of a goal threat to us set piece wise. If we can get a decent cross in, he seems to be somebody big enough and willing enough to get on the end of things. Potentially, we could have a bit of a weapon there in hurting up, which is nice. But his defensive work is fantastic. Really impressive. I'm sort of whizzing through this a little bit, but McLean did a pretty heinous looking late foul on Byers and didn't get a card. I don't know how McLean is just, he's an awful person, isn't he? He just seems to be a bad person. He enjoys winding everybody up. He relishes his role as pantomime villain. And somehow in this game, he didn't get a yellow card, despite being involved in several bad challenges and subsequent ruckuses with the players. Byers was everywhere this half. Really busy, breaking up play and their side of things, providing an extra pass when people were looking. I think Bannon and Luongo have the primary kind of role of driving us. But Byers was providing an extra pass for them if they needed it, an extra out, and keeping the ball moving. He's looking more and more a really fine player for him.
Yeah, I would agree. He's just been something else. I mean, it's strange because I don't know how much. Again, I think it's an old thing that we said, but never really got a good idea of what he's kind of been there to give us. I know he's a player of merit and a player who's been well thought of previously. There seemed to be some kind of disappointment from Swansea fans that he was a player that kind of casting off and an option of the park for. But we've never seen any idea of who he was or what he could do. And I don't know. I always felt previously from those roles we saw of him playing a defensive midfield option, never looked the type of player who I thought we would need in that role.
No. It might be the case. We've talked about Carlos's honey to the soup sort of, and it might be Luongo is just such a kind of delicious MSG umami additive to the midfield that everybody in his presence just looks better. The defense looks better when Luongo plays. We tend to look more potent going forward, and the midfield seems to perform better. He just seems to have this great aura around him. I think he does talk and organize, but he also reads the game beautifully. And maybe Byers is being helped by Luongo's presence as much as, or more so than Bannon. But it's really nice to see. It was amazing how many times he just was in the right place at the right time. And it wasn't just in one spot in midfield in this game. He was just popping up all over that middle third, making a stop to something, setting us off on on a break, or as I say, sort of being the extra tie between a wing and pass out. Really good. On the other side of things, a player who impressed me for Wigan was Callum Lang, their number 19. He looked special. He running with the ball, just a real threat. Going through lines, we had a couple of occasions where all we could do really was hoik him down. We were struggling when he, and in particular, that's when I think when Bannon picked his yellow was dealing with him.
That's my first note.
Looks a real player. I made a note. This is just a flurry of notes here. What did you make of the Bannon booking? I think
it was very professional. It was something that it felt right. I think it's just that moment of panic that just looking like an operator with Lang at the ball at his feet in that moment breaking could have led to some real danger. So I think Bannon it's not something that Bannon does that often.
No.
But I think it was a situation that was rare enough for him to be like, this is what I'm going to do.
No, it's fair enough. Yeah, and I wonder how much of that is maybe having some of those more experienced heads around him. He's maybe occasionally being told what to do, which wouldn't normally have happened when he's the big bully boy in midfield. Bannon sort of struggled a little bit, and he did talk about this after the game, so I don't feel like I'm just being unnecessarily harsh on him. I thought he had a couple of poor touches, he had a couple of sort of bits of miscontrol, and maybe passes that went astray, and we didn't really get punished for it, which is good, but it was a bit strange. He talked about afterwards the pitch being lively, and I do have to say Hillsborough pitch not looking its gorgeous green self at this point in time.
No, probably Probably taking a bit of a battering from the seasons, and probably it's going to take a bit of a battering in terms of a lot of games coming up for the rest of the season. It's it's probably not looking as good as it.
I think we've had a lot of wild weather. I don't know what sort of dried the pitch or something potentially, but yeah, it's funny having spent most of the last podcast moaning about Burton Albion's tin pot sandy pitch, and then actually turn up to the old lady at Hillsborough, and it doesn't look a huge heaps better. Certainly in some areas, there's mainly green. There's grass on our pitch, which does put it ahead of the Burton Albert. But there's areas that really do look a bit rough, a bit shoddy.
Maybe the grass is not always browner. Maybe that's the situation. The grass is not always deaderer.
The ground is just as dead on the other side. The League One story. This was Hutch. I thought Hutch has by and large been good, and obviously the defenses we're riding a good run of clean sheets, which is fantastic. But Magennis was really, I hope I'm saying that right, but he's a handful, and he was giving Hutch all he could handle, and at times he threatened often to either bust us open in terms of flicking a flick on or holding the ball up. We just didn't quite know what to do with him, although I think we looked well enough covered there with the three that we could afford to make that first mistake and then catch things back up afterwards. 37 minutes, easily the best chance of the game. A raking pass from Story sets up a 1-2 for Johnson and Bannon. Johnson smashes the ball into the near post, and the deflection goes agonisingly close to Canberry's head. So once again, it's just one of these efforts that's firing in low and hard and almost sort of banking on just something coming of it. And it ricocheted. The keeper palmed it straight out, and the rebound unfortunately went the wrong way off Canberry's head. If it had come off like just a slight different angle of his forehead, it could have gone in the goal just wide. 42nd minute, big let off. I've put lots of eyes in that big as Wigan have the ball in the net following a cross by Lang. We just didn't. I think once he got past Luongo, which he did a few times, it looked a bit of an open door between Palmer and Johnson, and that's where Lang was doing most of his operate. So once he broke free there, he had a lot of room to spot. Cross there, they hit the post from that, and then Magennis bundled it over the line. So that was given as offside. Did you feel it was? Did you feel it got away with one?
At the time, I didn't think so.
Okay.
But then I think I went back and looked at the replay, and I specifically had my eyes on the Wigan player. Yeah,
the Wigan player. I'm going to call him that from the Wigan player. Joshy.
Yep, I did see him. That's the man. Have him in the lineup.
The boy with the Arab strap.
That is two children in an overcoat. Oh, okay. In which case,
two burly Irish children in an overcoat.
Barely Irish children.
Burly.
Oh, burly.
Big burly Irish children.
Not barely Irish.
Not barely Irish, but he probably is barely Irish. I'm not barely Irish, I'm Northern Irish, says Josh Magennis.
Close enough, Josh.
Yeah, close enough.
Anyway.
My next note is Patterson has been woeful and Canberry not much better. The two of them really struggled to make a foothold in the game. I think Canberry gets off lighter in my book because he actually plays like a striker. I just don't see what his aim is in this striking.
No.
He's never in the right place to be a target man. On the odd occasion it comes to his head, he doesn't seem to be particularly gifted at winning headers.
I didn't know whether watching Patterson in this game, I couldn't really work out what he kind of added to this. And I was trying to wonder, like, is him... He lost his cool on a number of occasions. It wasn't for the talents he does give to the team, and the talents he does give to the team in that position. I don't think he was doing anything. Nothing was coming from anything that he could do for his talents in that position. But I was wondering, like, is him losing his cool and losing his rag? Is that giving us anything beneficial in this game? I don't think so.
I know.
I was trying to wonder, like, am I trying to be generous because I really like Callum Patterson to think, is that the benefit?
I think he was getting some rough handling, and I don't think he was getting any.
Oh, he was very rattled by that. That was something they picked up on the
Yeah,
commentary. It was like he was just not getting anything today.
he
But
put.
I don't know if Patterson's a player who ever really gets anything like that for
I
him.
did put, yeah, just this is my last note for the game, by the way, but 90 plus 6, I said Patterson wins his first free kick. It really was one of those sort of games where they seemed to be allowed to do a lot to deal
Mm,
with Patterson. And then when he retaliated in any way, if he got physical with their defenders, the ref always gave it for defenders. And they seemed to be able to sort of pull his shirt, push him, drag him, and the ref didn't give anything. I'm still not in any way impressed by Patterson. I think this was poor. I think he is poor at that role. I don't. To me, it's more the biggest problem with him as a centre, as the hold up target man, is he does not play it. You need to be disciplined. I know it
mm,
feels like you should go and run around, and running around helps the team. But when your job is to be the pivot, the target that everything builds around, it's not helpful for you to go on help on the wing and to come back in midfield. You need to be where you're supposed to be. The best thing you can do for the team is stay up there
yeah,
and be the target, be the figurehead.
yeah.
He doesn't do it enough. He's never where he needs to be, and therefore it hurts the team. I like Patterson by and large. We like him as a player. He's got boundless enthusiasm. He goes about every task like a coked up poppy. It's fantastic, but that is a role where you have to go again. You have to disobey your instinct to go and hod carry. It's better for the team for you to just stand and provide an option. You need to be the guy when they look up, you're there. And he just doesn't do it enough. Canberry's does a better job of it. Canberry is less inclined to get involved further back and therefore gets more goals as a result, etc., etc. But there we go.
Mm.
44th minute, we had another let off just towards the end of that half. Lang again causing problems. He spun off the shoulder of Liam Palmer and got a shot away from the edge of the box. Thankfully, an easy save for Bailey Peacock-Farrell, but a warning sign. He definitely shone in that first. Made the most pretty much every time. Either missed 10, 20 yards forward with a run, doing some dangerous. So half time.
Mm.
What did you make of the first half?
I think I was watching with the hope that maybe some magic would kind of come and mature a bit later. I felt that I still felt for the danger that a team like Wigan present, and you could really see their talent and nous on the pitch. I didn't feel particularly worried. I felt we did handle them fairly well.
Yeah,
I must say. I mean, a couple of scares aside, I didn't think there's nothing that's presented to us in any of these two games of football to kind of fast forward to Wigan to say this is anything that we'd be scared of.
no.
I think I'm forgiving, and I think I'm open to kind of look at a team and say they could well have much better performances than what they've given against Sheffield Wednesday. But I also will kind of give the condition that if we're on form and everything's ticking, then we're a pretty fair beast for this division.
Yeah.
And the thing I always want to say was, like, you were talking about buyers, and I think the interesting thing is that middle three is, I really enjoyed FDB, Bannon, and Luongo together. Maybe it's a lot to say about the performances of Luongo, but I think with Byers, with what he's doing right now, it's making me look at it's kind of like analyzing the human body.
Yeah.
I we can go different mentalities. You could have a person of faith who would look at something like Paley's watch theory, which is basically saying you find a watch, therefore it must be designed by something because everything works. The human body largely works pretty well. And it just kind of makes you think about different organs kind of working. Everything seems to be working like an engine. It seems to be like the pistons are like, I don't know stuff about engines, but like everything seems to be working in a harmony.
Is tickling the ball drag, and it's all ticky. The cogs are whirring. Pistons are pumping. It's all good, baby.
Rich and I look at it like a very crass Heath Robinson, Rube Goldberg machine, basically. Or something from the kids' board game Mousetrap. I think that's how Rich and I look at it.
I treat it like a tie or a hat on a bedroom door. You know, if that engine is a rocking, don't come a knocking. Don't have a look in there. You don't want to.
Of course. Which I agree with you. Don't want to stop the party rocking. You don't want to be anti LMFAO, do you?
No, it's you can get cancelled for that.
No, you don't want to. Just like them, we don't want to apologise for party rocking. But anyway, yeah, it felt like that even if certain elements are not kind of tying together, and again, that forward play wasn't really working. It was the sad thing of not seeing Mendes Lang, because I feel like it's a bit like, luckily it worked out for Sheffield Wednesday, but there were feelings of like, what if could have been here.
Yeah, I mean, a very even half. I thought we did make some chances. I think like it was exactly 50-50 on possession, just to kind of like belabor the point in terms of it being in half. And but we had more shots on target. I think we were dangerous in dispatches. They were dangerous as well, but neither team particular. This was to go back to a fighting sort of analogy. This was a feeling out process, I think, the first half, by and large. And two decent looking teams with decent tools to kind of cause each other damage, but also good enough defenses to operate against those as well. But yeah, a decent half of football. I think probably we shaded it. I came away from the first half feeling maybe slightly hard done to, that we hadn't made better of some of our breaks. And to that end, my first note of the second half is just saying more nearly moments for Wednesday. It was like this. We're on the cusp of making chances. It wasn't necessarily getting to the point of having a shot and getting it into the box, but we were close to these things, or we had good crosses that went over people, or we didn't have the personnel in the box. I think again, another symptom of playing Patterson up top is balls going to the box and there are not players where they should be. Canberry is pretty studious about getting to that front post. Patterson not so much about getting to either the middle or the back. He won't all. But the first note, really, I've got the first sort of minuted note is the penalty, the pivotal moment of the whole game. So this was a particularly nice spell from Wednesday. There was a couple of nice bits of play with Byers, Johnson, Bannon, and Luongo kind of combining in nice triangles on and near the wing, just trying to sort of pick a lock, really. And we were turned away a few times and still recycled the ball, kept the pressure on, and the sort of the points, the arrowhead of this or the spear of this attack ended up being Luongo driving into the box, dropping his shoulder, getting one-on-one with the defender and dropping his shoulder, and being fouled by WAWAW. Now there were some questions. Our own John Pearson was pretty questionable. What did you think? Did you think it was a penalty? Did you think it was?
You know what? I'm not sure. I'm still not sure. It's borderline.
See, my feeling at the time was it was just nailed on. It looked absolutely nailed on.
Yeah.
I think he's done by. I know there's the clip, and if you watch it, he just pulls his leg away, WAWAW, after. But I think it's after the contact. But also, I think he's done. I think he stood still by Luongo. He buys the turn, and therefore he's kind of a sitting duck for giving away a penalty, but maybe Luongo did a good job in making the most of the contact. I don't know. I just thought a full pelt. I thought gotta be a pen. I think watching it in slow motion, I could see why people were like more questioning of it. But I still think if we had the ability to watch it at like whatever ridiculous sort of 1,000 frames per second, the tornado cam that they do the super slow-mos on. I think he makes the contact, then pulls his foot away. And therefore, it's a pen. But anyway, the regardless of whether it should have been or shouldn't have been, it was. The ref gave it. We've had some pretty Stonewall-looking pens that haven't been given in this season. So maybe a bit of payback is one that's a little bit more questionable. I know the Wigan manager said from every angle it's never a pen. which is interesting because we only get one angle.
We only get one angle, yeah. And he only gets to see it from one angle as well. And he only
Exactly.
gets to review it back from a very similar angle. So,
And he spells his name really badly wrong. So should we trust him?
no.
He spells Liam, Leam. That's Liam.
Yes.
That's not a name. That's not a person's name. So therefore, your opinion on matters to do with football
It's completely null and void.
It's completely null and void.
Because you have an alternate spelling of your name, then all of your opinions are shit, sir.
You failed at the very basic thing of having a reasonable human name, and therefore you lose. You lose every argument you're in. Go and lean on a bloody lamppost, eh? Prick. How confident were you when Barry Bannon, having missed his last two penalties, steps up to take this penalty?
So I'll just have to just say what happened visually just over the audio art form here on the podcast. I shook my head much like I was Harold Bishop in Neighbours. I was not confident. I'm just like, let's just see how this goes. I mean, there's a lot of times you get a penalty and you're like, this is going to be a goal.
Yeah.
But there's just a time. I don't know. I think there's been situations where this is really important and I've been really invested, watched it go badly. And this was just like, I've seen the last couple of times from Barry Bannon.
Yeah.
But fair play. He steps up and took it well. Took the penalty very well.
He did. Yeah, this was sort of one of those unsavable ones, really. Right up there and right in the corner. I was very worried to see him taking it. But then at the same time, you're like, is there anybody else I would want to take it either? I don't think there is. I think it has to be Bannon. And probably for the better that he kind of just grabbed the moment and did it than somebody else reluctantly kind of getting cajoled into it. Because I don't really, Patterson's not really a penalty taker, is he?
Not really, no.
I wouldn't trust Canberry. Maybe Luongo. Maybe.
No, maybe Canberry might be a bit Atdy-esque.
Yeah, secretly good. Who knows? But anyway, yeah, great conversion. Fantastic work. And immediately the onset of nerves, because now we have something to lose in this game. What was a fun knockabout time immediately has stakes. We kept playing nice football, though. I think we almost got better after the goal, at least for sure.
My only two notes were the 59th minute and the 65th minute.
Well, I think it's probably the same thing, because I've said 60, it's probably the same thing. So.
Great play. Johnson pulls it back. Canberry blazes over.
Yeah, I said...
Patterson looks like he's seen a badger with his innards ripped out and is about to throw up.
I said sumptuous, gorgeous football. Bannon, Byers and Johnson combining so well. Ball is cut back to Canberry, who produces a finish that may or may not have led me to exclaim, "You Swiss idiot." Oh no, you Swiss idiot!
Rich also exclaims that when he bought a Swiss cuckoo clock, and then it came out of a Toblerone instead of the cuckoo.
Oh, you Swiss idiot!
Oh, that was bad.
He had some chances. That boy Canberry had some chances against him. He could have made life a lot easier for Stefan. I did throw a little bit of kick a little bit of praise Patterson's way here. I just said a likable quality of Patterson is that his response to games like this, he's out of form. He's not really getting the rub of the green. The ref is letting Wigan rub him up. Does he shy away? Does he sulk? No, he ups his work rate to an insane level, causing chaos and discomfort that other teammates can hopefully capitalise on. Because that second half, he just played like a man possessed. Like nothing was going for him. The ball wasn't really going near him, but he was going to just make the most of anything that he could do. He almost made things happen 2 or 3 times just by bundling into a player or some, he was rubbish, and it didn't get any better, but it was just sort of nice to see, like, he just was like, okay, I'm having a crap day, but I can still be useful to the team by just being a sort of agent of chaos here, just bumbling around and making something happen. We had another good effort from Jordan Story.
Yes. Yep.
close from a ban and corner. I don't know what this was in relation to, but I just said, "Buyers is everywhere." This might be where your 69. What's your 69th minute thing?
No, it's the 65th. It's the story corner. Like, I'm just saying,
the story corner.
You know what I mean? I was going to say is like he's going to score from a corner soon.
It's going to happen.
It's coming. It really is.
Yeah. It's he's got some ability there, and it's gonna pay off definitely. I wondered whether
it's kind of subtle because I felt that with Shea Dunkley, it was like he's going to score from a corner. There was that kind of lead up and to build up till he did. But there was also like Dunkley was just meeting it with such aggression.
Yeah.
But stories a lot more kind of cultured and finding space.
Yeah.
You know.
No, it's nice to see. I mean, because he nearly scored in the last game as well. So yeah, it feels like it's going to happen, and it's going to happen. Obviously, this weekend would be not a bad time to pick to have it get his first goal. I wondered whether what you jotted down was John Pearson's little quip of, has Max Power got a sister named Min?
No, I actually avoided that. I remember when he said that, and I just one of those things you avoid and you just ignore. One of the things someone says, and you're like,
you write down, say later.
I'm going to ignore that
because I want to still like you.
Yeah.
I bet nobody's ever made that joke before, though, Luke. Never, ever.
It is a newer one for Max Power, isn't it? To be fair,
is it?
It's a bit more.
77th minute, Patterson gets booked. I thought it was a bit harsh. Nathaniel Mendes-Land came on for Canberra at that same stage. 78th minute, almost an amazing goal from Patterson, just hitting a sort of dipping effort that went over the keeper, but just dropped wide. He almost caught out the keeper though with that. It was not a bad try, particularly from a guy that's looking very, very much out of sorts when it comes to scoring goals. So 80th minute, a Bannon shot from the edge of the box, capped a lovely drive from Nathaniel Mendes-Lang. I got really worried because John and Rob started sort of assessing the performance as a whole with more than 10 minutes left to play. But thankfully come to anything. So 78th minute, almost an amazing goal from Patterson. That sort of dipping effort went over the keeper, but just didn't. It dropped wide rather than in. But not a bad effort from a guy that has been having some real struggles in front of goal. He nearly came back to life with an absolute worldie. 80th minute, Bannon had a shot from the edge of the box, capping a lovely drive from Nathaniel Mendes-Lang. And then I got really worried because John and Rob started making like valedictory style victory speeches and talking about the performance as a whole and what the league table looks like. And there was more than 10 minutes left. It turns out there was quite a lot more than 10 minutes left, Luke, because we had a pussy on the pitch.
That's true. Yeah, it was nice to. It was really nice to have a bit of goodwill to our feline friends following the week of Kurt Zuma stuff.
Yeah,
which is as a man who is a cat lover, and I heard about, and I'm like, I'm not gonna bring this up.
No,
something you read about, and you're like, no, I don't want to see who was the name of that guy who was. It was like I remembered the name of that gentleman who was captured by Al Qaeda and was beheaded on video. And I remember hearing like some work colleagues of mine being like, "Oh, I've got the video for this. Don't want to see this. No, I don't want to. This isn't going to enhance my life." So nice to have something as an opposite there. With, nice bit of goodwill towards little Topsy.
I've got to say, probably the best bit of play by any Wigan player was that catch.
Was Jason Kerr like, carefully picking up the kitty, and then the lovely little wave at the end to the cat when he handed off. That was it was a delight. Really. It was, and I think I'm led to believe that the cats. So the cat had been missing since June. Did you hear that story? That was incredible. Yeah,
wild. But now I think Topsy the cat has gone home. With its owner, it's had some antibiotics, it's looked after by a vet, and so not a bit of a feel good moment there between footballers and felines in a week where relations had really been strained by Kurt Zuma.
Between the footballer and cat
Yes.
communities.
How can these two coexist?
Those two vital communities getting on with each other.
Yes. We can only hope that a stray Ukrainian runs onto the pitch in front of a Russian this weekend, and we can have a similar coming together of two opposing sides.
It's hoping. It's hoping.
Luongo ended up getting a massive bandage on his head. I don't think it was anything to do with the cat, but it was around the same sort of time. Just always fun to see somebody with a big Terry Butcher bandage on the head, isn't it? It's always fun. Brennan came on for Bannon. Patterson won his first free kick. The game was done.
Yeah.
A humongous win.
Another 4 wins on the bounce, 4 clean sheets.
4 clean sheets on the bounce.
Oh.
A surprisingly comfortable second half, I think.
I think so. Given what we fared in the first half, it seemed to sap some of the life and livelihood out of Wigan Athletic.
Yeah. Fantastic, really. 6 points off Wigan.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's nice. They were thought by many at the start of the season to be the swanging dicks of this league, and we've pinched our lunch twice. So yeah. Here we should have a break then, shouldn't we, Luke? And then we'll talk about Rotherham. Luke, we're picking things back up.
Oh, we are.
This is now... So we've spoken in the past. We're now in the present. And folks will listen to this in the future. It's trippy, man. It's trippy.
It's really twisting my melon. Yeah.
I'm going to lose my video feed for the sake of our connection. Hopefully that will be beneficial to the podcast listeners. But yeah, we're now talking post Rotherham. I wanted to make the
least favourite of the hams.
Oh yeah, sometimes you get a bit of ham and it just tastes like dirt. It's all that, like it's just that.
Yeah.
And massive amounts of botulism as well in it. Just. I just want to make one small correction. We talked about the YouTube video of Hutch and Palmer. Guards was not Anthony Gardner, it was Gary Gardner, who is another odd choice, I would say.
Yes, another bizarre choice. Well, he signed on loan the same time as Hutchinson.
Same time as Hutch, yeah.
Okay.
But again, another player that I barely remember playing for Wednesday at all.
No, one who didn't cover himself in glory and had a bad time at Sheffield Wednesday, let's put it that way.
Yeah. But
I think he's had better times elsewhere, but not at S6.
Mates with Hutch, so he gets in the team. It would be better. I think it could. A stricter brief might have suited them. It was a good video. I don't want to complain about it too much. I like the content.
I do.
But a stricter brief might have been more fun. I would like to see the best team rather than who you get on with. Anyway, I just wanted to make that small correction. It was a different guards than the one I thought. For the benefit of this podcast, Luke, I'm drinking Lucozade Sport, which is clinically proven to help top podcasters waffle 33% more efficiently.
It gets to you first fast, doesn't it?
It does.
It
gets
Barnes
you from a parched mouth to lip smacking ASMR in 90 seconds, or your money back.
To a sugary parched mouth.
The secret is the glucose. Right, we should do this. You can tell we're in one of these phases where we're slightly stalling because it's an unpleasant act we're about to indulge in. So the big change was basically Mendes Lang being drafted back in, I believe in place of Canberry. But would you say this is pretty much our best 11 as it stands from the warm bodies, the available bodies?
From the available bodies, yeah. I mean, it's kind of depressing. It's kind of very much depressing from everything going on in regards to people who are missing. Well, I think the thing is, this is it. Like, I'm looking through that lineup. Everything's great, and this is going to be some foreshadowing for what we're going to cover today. that front two, the front two is not working.
No.
And I think I can probably be kind enough to give some grace to Darren Moore, to whatever he's going to pick from here.
Yeah.
Because I mean, looking at that lineup, I mean, the only thing I would have said was, I know he looks like he's having some confidence issues, but like I'm gonna have to say, like I think I'd rather much see Canberry over Patterson.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if he's just picked for pure physical presence in this situation, Patterson, because Rotherham, we've talked a couple of times about how Wednesday have a good team, possibly a better team than we had last season, but we don't really have a great League One team. And I think Rotherham are a really good League One team. They are 3 giant monsters at the back, 2 giant monsters at the front, and a few guys that can play in the middle if the ball ever drops there. Like, they are League One to their very core. Blackpool, Rock, League One is written through them. And I presume if and when they go up, they will similarly struggle with the higher level of football because they just don't have the qualities there. But they are certainly, they're good at this League One business. They're good at this kick and rush, pull everybody's shirts, shove everybody around business.
Yeah, I wondered if the whole thing with this, because I was looking at Rotherham, and it's like I feel like I'm going to sound very bitter. I'm very upset, very frustrated with the result today. Excuse me.
Is it worth saying to start off?
Yeah,
we're going to be miserable because of the end result. Like, it's disappointing, but performance-wise, there's a lot to like in there, and I mean, we'll get into it, but. It's hard to be angry with the many individual players because they sort of did their job. It's just a succession of maybe doing slightly better in moments, maybe having slightly more composure, maybe a rub of the green, maybe an official's decision. And we didn't really have any of those on our side today, unfortunately, and they all went the way of Rotherham. But performance-wise, we more than matched them all over the pitch, and particularly first half, a very, very good performance, I would say.
Yeah, I would say that. The thing I want to say in regards to Rotherham is, I'm trying to give some kind of begrudging respect because I think I'm very irate with, I think, a very fortunate 3 points from Rotherham today.
Yeah.
But the thing I wanted to say, which I think is, I'm trying to put us across as kind of a compliment and not sound incredibly bitter, which I'll be honest, I'm pretty bitter about this. They seem like consistently a team of 7 out of 10s. Like, yes, it seems to be, but it just seems to be across the board. Everybody knows their job and does their job well to their abilities. I think they're very much a great contrast to Sheffield Wednesday, because I think Wednesday are a team that have players who can be 8s or 9s on their day, but probably don't have that great amount of consistency.
They can turn in a 5 or a 4 as well, just as easily.
Exactly. So I think that is much more of a positive, and that's obviously why Rotherham are top of this league.
Yeah, of course. Consistency is such a big thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
The other thing is, obviously, good luck with injuries is a big part to play. I mean, it's crazy how many people we have on that injured list now. It's crazy the caliber of our treatment room, and they go into the game with the enormous monster that's on a fine run of goals in Smith up front and Ladapo alongside him. We go into the game with, as you say, Patterson and Mendes Lang, neither of whom is really a centre forward.
No,
by trade.
But then with the situation, I mean, we're putting them ahead of 2 other centre forward options who are recognised as centre strikers in Berahino and Canberra. Yeah. But both of those very different ends of the spectrum. I think today the thing is, I think I'd rather have seen Canberra. I think
push comes to shove. Yeah.
But then in the weird way, it's kind of like I can kind of see the mentality of why Patterson is there. I can see it's the frustrating thing with Patterson that no country for Pato. There's no great position for him.
No country for prematurely old-looking men.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's, as I say, I think he's there for the physical. Canberra doesn't bring that physicality to it, although he does bring more discipline. I think looking at the way the game played out, if you were able to do a like-for-like swap and we still produced the same set of chances, I'd rather Canberra be the guy that's in the box for them. I think he knows that kind of basic, almost maths equation bit of being a striker. You know, you just have to stand in certain areas, and that's where the ball is going to go more often than not. And if you get there and stay there, you're going to get goals. Canberra knows that and gets that in a way that Patterson doesn't seem to, or is choosing not to at this point in time, if he does see that himself. So, yeah, Canberra's got a knack of getting goals. At the moment, Patterson looks like he's never going to score.
Yeah.
His heading, when he gets chances, isn't particularly well executed. He's passing instead of shooting. He's turning away from the goal and rather than pushing himself into positions to take chances. Do you have, because obviously this is one of these where I'm at the game, so moment to moment, I sort of have memories of the game, but they're all a bit of a mulch.
Yeah, I'm happy to lead this. I think you led.
Go for it.
You led going through the midweek Wigan game in a similar thing. So yeah, I guess that's the interesting thing with. So I think I'd much rather in this kind of situation. I think maybe in a weird way now. I think I'd rather wait out the time to see Canberra get up to full confidence and fitness. Maybe perhaps, and maybe we just have to kind of play through that rather than seeing Patterson at this stage. So, I mean, but I think it's close. I'm not too upset with the situation with Moorhas. We really miss Gregory. I can't wait to see Gregory back. I mean, Windass is a loss, but, you know, Gregory has made a very big presence for himself up front. Yeah,
go on, sorry.
Something we didn't kind of cover in the news. I think this has been a thing before. I think it's maybe, unfortunately, maybe kind of advanced, but did you know, or did they make any commentary for yourselves over the tannoy? It was Aaron Jameson's young son who's very unfortunately battling a very rare aggressive cancer. I think his name is Jude. I think it was, but they made a point of looking at that in the coverage. Right.
We just sort of got in as kickoff was happening, so I think we sort of missed that side of things. If they did make anything of it in the stadium, although to be honest, you can never really hear what the guy is saying. Like 99% of the time in the cop, you can't hear what the guy's saying. So
no, that's
maybe
true.
They said it,
and then I mean, you know, you're more likely to identify the registration number of the Vauxhall Corsa.
Yes,
and obviously,
that's a nice clear.
I don't know. I mean, is it kind of maybe an anti-Pavlovian investigation that, you know, we need to be told every game that obviously we can't exit through the Leppings Lane end.
Our license bar's closed now. I don't know if they do that anymore, you know. Or they might have got pages or something. They've really moved up in the world. They send a fax to each of the kiosks.
I was going to say
there's a GoFundMe sort of thing, isn't there?
There is, and I did give some money yesterday, and I think people. I really think people should.
If you can.
If you can afford some money to give to that cause, that would be something that I think should definitely. Especially for me personally, I lost an old work colleague the other week, so I think mortality has been on my mind as of late. But anyway, let's take it on to slightly more nicer things to talk about.
Yeah, let's really liven things up and excite ourselves talking about Sheffield Wednesday Football Club versus Rotherham.
It looked like a decent attendance at Hillsborough.
It was, yeah.
What did they give for the attendance numbers, out of interest?
I want to say 26, but it might have been 25. It's definitely looked like the most it looked like the biggest attendance this season to me, but maybe I'm wrong on that. But it's the biggest I think I've been at this season. They brought a good amount. I don't know how many they get for home games normally, but they really brought a good amount of fans. To be fair to them.
Yeah, and I mean it's been a long week of the Twitter wars about this, about my dad's bigger than your dad. And there was also a delightful post from a Rotherham fan, which was doing some kind of mathematics to say that there were more Rotherham fans for the sake of how big the town is than.
Oh right.
But obviously not taking into account any ideas that there's more than one football club in Sheffield.
Yeah.
So a bit strange.
My daddy's Willie's bigger than your daddy's Willie.
It was a lot of Dad Willie talk on the Twitters.
More so than normal.
You know, they were talking about Dad Johnsons, and we was talking about how Daddy Marvin Johnson. You know, that's how it was going. Anyway, so I mean, it was interesting because there was that. I mean, for all the talk of like, this is a local derby, and it's not really, you know, Wednesday fans I'd probably put yourselves not really saying this, not really worth the steam off our piss.
Yeah,
but I think we'd more likely want to be here to be winning a game like this. You know,
of course,
it's one of those you probably don't. Probably ones you don't want to lose more than... It's a weird thing. It is a local derby. We'll just leave it there. Anyway, and I thought it was interesting.
It's a semi sort of one-sided derby in that they're not a major concern of ours, but then we've played them so often recently that we're almost a bit ashamed that we're playing Rotherham in a way, like given the histories of the two clubs.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we've played them so often of late that it's generated its own heat to an extent.
Mm.
And some great memories. Kieran Lee's cold as ice last-minute goals and or last gasp goals, and obviously they kind of put one of the very final nails in our coffin last season with their Ladapo effort late on. So, yeah, it's generating a history all its own, even though probably historically not one of our grand rivals.
No, but I thought it was an interesting moment of like it seemed to be. I mean, Bannon seemed to really enjoy the occasion. Like there was a bit where I think first on my first note is basically like I think it was us countering from a Rotherham corner, and then there's the interesting thing of us leaving Bannon on his own to kind of be the one. He's not going to obviously compete in the middle, but then it was interesting. I mean, it was kind of like. I made a comment about him being a Yorkshire Terrier on acid. Because he was doing some mini yapping heroics up for him. But I think we went on the counter from one, and then he was, you know, vying for it and then going for it. You know, giving some of the centre backs a bit of an issue, and then you know him turning to the south stand and really trying to G the south stand up. So I mean, we came out of a real pace to things. Even though I think for the first 10 minutes, I'd say that we looked like we had a real pace intent, but it just wasn't kind of clicking in terms of some of those balls.
Yeah, Bannon turned to the south stand and tried to G them up, and one guy did a clap. No, I know what you mean. Yeah, we sort of it's nice though. I mean, how many of these like derby games have we had where Wednesday just like, oh, is this a football match? All right, okay. You know, the attitude is just so hum. So we were right up for this from the off, and why not? Obviously, we're in good form as well, and we were giving it all we had.
And then we were looking sharp in the. I mean, the third minute, I'd probably say there was a close and a bit of a worrying chance for Rotherham. Probably one of the only chances of merit that I thought kind of really worried me from a kind of Rotherham attacking perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, because obviously fast forward to the end of this game, they scored 2 goals by set pieces.
Yeah.
So those kind of came out of nowhere, I'd agree, and I'd say, and I think I'm pretty close with that. But then I think it was Ladapo who was kind of in, but thankfully it was kind of a combination of him being closed out well, and also he had a pretty poor finish, I must say.
Yes.
So that was a little bit of a warning sign. But I mean, from there on, it was pretty much looking very Wednesday. 7th minute, great ball for Hunt, who overrun it pretty well. And but did well to win a corner in that situation, despite the fact the ball was going off.
He did do really well. Yeah.
The resulting corner
Looked
came
like
in.
a real lost cause, didn't it?
Yep, the resulting corner came in. I thought Bannon took some decent corners today, I must say.
He did.
It came in, and then Hutchinson.
Sort of annoyingly, he got a few right. He got a few perfectly where you'd want them, but people gambled on him hitting the front post because he always hits the front post. And then the one time people stood where he'd been playing it all game, he hit the guy on the front post. But yeah, there was a better consistent quality of set pieces from Bannon by and large today.
Yeah, the resulting corner came in. It kind of bounced around in the mixer. Came out Hutchinson, then nodded over. And I'm just going to go from my general comments here, Rich. So there's some pithy mixed in with some of the highlights and marks of this. So I must say, it's been a good while, and animosities are a long time ago, I must say. But seeing Richard Wood look like he is crowning a poo against Patterson and Mendes Lang is kind of fun, I must say. A few occasions, I mean, that was the shame thing. The shame that we didn't score, because it looked like, for the prowess and the powers that you're saying, that, you know, Rotherham have got a number of big lumps at the front and at the back and the front of the pitch. Like, we looked like we were giving Richard Wood some late onset rickets.
I mean, maybe is it even late onset rickets? He must be like 157 now. If my maths is correct.
He must be about as old as us, basically. That's how you say it. Yes, exactly.
In dog years, he should be dead by now.
Right. We've been granted further life because we've never been racehorses. So
no,
me and you have been giving a stay of execution from the glue factory, but Richard Wood's got a kind of Logan's Run kind of situation going on, hasn't he?
He's voluntarily started turning into glue himself.
So yeah, no, we seem to give them like, I mean, that was maybe the benefit of Patterson up front, is that he can go around and then do all this stuff and then kind of run around and give him some real problems with that. But it never amounted to anything.
No.
Yeah. Back to my notes. 12th minute, Johnson swung it over. Mendes Lang connects. Took a deflection and it almost worried Vickers.
Yeah.
15th minute, Hunt stung one straight at Vickers. There were a lot of shots straight down the gullet. Straight
down his throat, so many times.
So many times. We did not, like... I think he had a decent performance, Vickers.
Yeah.
For them, but like we never really greatly tested him.
No, good kicking under pressure. I think we sort of worked a few situations that really put him on the spot. And his kicking was always good when it counted. And yeah, he made the saves and didn't spill things, but we didn't half make it easy for him. So many of them were straight at him, which is a real shame. We got good opportunities in this game, and we just made life very, very comfortable for the goalie.
Do you want to hear another pithy observation, Rich?
Yeah, please. I was going to say we could call like this element of the podcast Luke's pith and vinegar.
I like it. Do you want to contain it? We get a sound bite for it. We'll get get a soundboard. I'll do like a little intro to it, and I can just contain it all within there. So in case if it's something you do like, listeners, you can listen to it. If you don't, I'll give you timestamps and you can skip over it and get on to the rest of your day. I always find it really funny when we get like, and I mean, this is obviously the case for all football managers, but I think maybe the nature of, I feel like I see this more with opposition managers, and there's certain opposition managers that do this a lot. And it's a bit Chris Wilder, it's a bit Paul Warne, maybe on a local thing. But Paul Warne doing that thing of wearing a Rotherham bobble hat, because obviously it's like, obviously you obviously have to wear all your team's clobber
gear,
if you're there. And at one point as well, he looked very strange in his. He had I think he had it was like a Rotherham snood that he pulled up.
Oh right, okay.
And so he looked almost kind of Islamic in a weird way. His kind of super kind of covered. Like an Islamic lady wearing a hijab, perhaps.
Wow, there we go.
So, but obviously just of the Rotherham.
All of his sort of acolytes had the the woolly hat on as well, which made me laugh. Like all of the boys that were allowed to stand up all had their woolly hats on as well.
That's really funny. But it's just like one wearing a Rotherham bubble. It's kind of, there's a weird thing that I think it's trying to put across of being like, look, I love this football team as much as you do, fans.
Look, I buy all of the things that I get given for free as well, same as you guys.
More pithy comments as the camera focuses on Will Grigg in I think was he on the bench or was he?
Oh right, okay, yeah, so I haven't picked that up.
There was a big thing about Will Grigg missing for this game, and then they said he mentioned he's been a great foil for Ladapo. I said I'd hope so, considering his goal record this season is Berahino-esque. Will Grigg is not on fire. Maybe there's a few embers left over in the Will Grigg bonfire.
Will Grigg's now charcoal. He was once on fire, now he is charcoal.
He's got like 2 in 16. So like I just couldn't believe they were like, oh, he's been a great... Like, just shut up with the notes. Ugh.
It's the sort of form that has people talking up whether you're a good foil or not.
My next note is that, we had a similar tone with Patterson from midweek.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Very similar vibes.
Oh, and then I do forget that we had the ball in the back of the net. That's the 31-minute mark. That's something you want to focus on, is it?
Well, I'm intrigued. Because obviously we get one view from we see it in the stands. They didn't show it afterwards because it's controversial or whatever. We got to see it at half time, and I thought Hunt looked onside I'm watching it on a big screen very, very far away. But was there any talk about it? Like, none of the local journos seem to even mention that it happened.
Well, I mean, they did cover it in the coverage, and it was offside, I'm afraid to say.
It was.
It was a tight call, but...
Fair enough.
Not the most contentious decision given from the linesman. I'll put it that way for this game of football.
Foreshadowing.
Mendes-Lag did phenomenal in that situation to run it down the wing, keep it in play, just as an absolute bulldozer. He brought it in. He doesn't attempt the Harris, but played it to Johnson, who stroked it to Hunt, who lashed home. And from the replay, it's one of those where it's kind of like the defense, when the ball is played, he's offside. They check back very quickly. So that's why it's that kind of moment that makes you think,
I thought he was offside? Played on by... Yeah, I thought the sort of right-sided centre-back played him on because he bought, I think, Johnson. I mean, obviously you've seen it more than me, so I don't know why I keep going on about it. But I thought the player that I thought played him on sort of thought that Johnson was going to go to the near post and kind of backed up. But if it was offside, it was offside. That's fair enough. I do think setting a bit of a trend. I wonder if we got it in our heads that they hadn't conceded a goal in quite a few games, because there were a lot of times where we went for that extra pass instead of shooting. I thought today we were overthinking things and overworking things occasionally.
Yeah,
because Mendes-Lag could have shot, Johnson could have shot, they both passed, and we end up getting offside as a result of the third pass there.
Yeah, maybe unfortunately it was the only best finish of the game from a Sheffield Wednesday perspective from Hunt, but annoyingly it was off. The commentator picked up on an off-the-ball body check from Pato and Ladapo. Did you see that? That was
it was good.
A little bit of housery from Colump.
Well, he was herring back after him, and I think lost the race, but was so kind of frustrated he'd been made to run, I think. He just made sure that he got him in the end, even though it was pretty late on. The ref didn't even speak to him, I don't think.
No,
he got away with it absolutely scot-free.
It was probably the only decision I think we got away with, I'll be honest.
Yeah, and the only thing that Patterson got away with all game as well.
Yeah, pretty much. There's another moment on the break with Bannon putting one just wide. That was that was close.
That was probably our best effort that counted, I think.
Yeah.
Because it was the only one that didn't go straight at the keeper. It just went past the post. Nice play though. It was nice play
It
again.
was a really nice play, and that was the bit that also made me make the pithy note about him looking like a Yorkie possessed. Roving goal threat Liam Palmer then is the next up with a couple of chances on the 40th. He brought it in from a long run and struck one. His deflected shot went just over. That was disappointing because I think as a run it deserved better. And also I'd really like to have seen... There's not many times that happens, but I think there's a lot of time. There are a few times, I will say, where you see a shot hit and then you're like, I really would have liked to have seen where that would have gone. Because that was maybe one of the best shots I think we had of this game.
Yeah.
And it went over.
I loved both of these moments from Palmer. Just so nice. Dropping the shoulder and leaving 2 or 3 men for dead each time. And he's playing centre-back. I don't know what happens to him in that left-sided centre-back berth, but he just comes alive.
Yeah, he almost had it's almost a free roll, wasn't it, for Liam Palmer at times?
Yeah.
Because I look back and during this game and I'm like, I can only see a couple of Wednesday players at the back. I saw a lot of Hutchinson and Story and, almost as a back two. I didn't see a great deal of Palmer back there. But
no.
Again, on the 42nd minute, did really well to kind of fashion the space, but unfortunately, again, that shot was just straight down Vickers' throat.
He really got hold of it, though, but unfortunately, straight at the goalkeeper.
And that's about it for my notes from the first half. Was there anything you didn't think I'd cover, or anything you recognise, Rich?
No, I think that's probably a fair summary of things. They were, they were sort of rolling the dice on us catching them in behind, and I think we were catching them in behind. We caught them out a few times. It's notable given that I think their last 4 games they'd scored 9 and conceded none. It was notable in that first half how little of a threat they posed to us at all. I know we had that early Ladapo moment, but outside of that, they really didn't get anything going. They couldn't really break us. In some ways, it was similar to the Wigan game. They just couldn't. They couldn't even build the start of a move. They just barely got beyond the halfway line for that first half. So lots of things working well. Just unfortunately, we didn't take the chances that we've made.
And then second half, I mean, the point that they felt that they needed to make a substitution.
It was an interesting sub. So I think what happened was they substituted another big chap for more of a ball player in Rathbone. And because I think by and large our answer to Smith was to let him win the ball and then we'd sweep up the second ball, and we did that really effectively. Obviously Byers and Luongo really help in that regard because they both read the ball very well, the bounce of the ball very well, and they're both very combative in the way that they play. But I think second half with Rathbone, I think he was really brought on to help them gather the ball in those situations and maybe punish us with second balls and things like that, because they had part of the reason they'd not made any headway is we'd manage Smith and then take the ball and start our own attack, and that got a bit harder second half, it's got to be said, with the introduction of Rathbone.
Beginning of that second half, the 50th minute, we break, and it was Patterson and Mendes Lang kind of gambling with a few balls, kind of pinging them off Richard Wood. Got it in on the left wing to Patterson, whose cross was blocked across, and it was just a little bit heartbreaking. I'm not entirely sure what else they could have done in that situation, but yeah.
People were angry, mad about that, really mad, and I didn't know what Patterson could do really. It never really felt like it was a chance for him to shoot particularly, and it would have been on his left foot, so I don't know how good really that is for him. And then he tried to play the cross, but it was well defended. I think Richard Wood really, to be fair to him, despite his increasing years, he did a really good job there in recovering. I've just noticed that the Different Gravy podcast our Twitter account has just been followed by Topsy the cat, which is a real privilege.
Thank you, Topsy.
Just distracting mid conversation, but it's really nice that the real breakout viral star of Sheffield Wednesday this season has taken the time to follow Different Gravy's Twitter account. What happened next, Luke?
The 54th minute, I thought we had like a flurry of chances going from like corners, and there was one moment I thought there was a really good return coming from one of those corners from Jordan Story. Like he managed to whip in across really well, and then once again Patterson just loops a header over, which unfortunately is how it kind of happens, and that is really my notes until the first Rotherham goal. 57th minute, strange corner decision. Very, very strange corner decision.
I've heard this since. I didn't really pick that up at the time, but I've seen some chatter. So what happened?
So I'm not sure who it was from Rotherham put in the cross. It kind of hung in the air. It looked like it was pretty kind of flat along the line. Obviously, Peacock Farrell claims it, but he claims it obviously on the pitch.
That one, yeah.
And it's one of the really funny thing was framing and directing and however you edit shots sometimes is very damning. It was very damning to go to this linesman who looks like he's about 12 with a bit of a frown on his face, extending his flag. And I'm there looking at it like, I genuinely don't think you believe you actually saw what you think you saw.
Yeah.
And also, it is technically possible that can happen. A ball can swerve out of play and then come back onto play. After, I guess, whatever block it was. But genuinely, who is talented enough to put that in a position even with a block where that happens?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure it's happened, but I'm sure it doesn't happen as often as referees call it. So,
yeah.
I don't think that was a corner at all.
Well, he called it late, didn't he? He called it once it was in Bailey Peacock Farrell's hands, which was... if it had been out, you probably would have had your flag up already, right? After it's caught by the keeper, then it's on the pitch from that point on. So, yeah, very weird. And if he's spotted something at that stage, he's seeing it through two lots of netting and all those bodies. Anyway, so they get the free kick, but the corner that they shouldn't have had, it sounds like.
And then I must, there's two goals here, one which really, really annoys me and one which I just have to take my hat off to. And this is the one I've taken my hat off to. It's a fantastic corner routine.
Yes, but should the shortest man on their team be getting a free header in our box? That feels like an abject failure of our defending. I don't think it takes away from a good idea and great execution. I mean, if you're going to snooze on a player when Rotherham have a team full of absolute giants, you're going to leave that little guy probably if you've got to make a choice. So why not play it to him? That's fair enough. And his header was great. Ladapo did a good job tapping it in at the near post. But it's just it's another set piece goal that we've conceded. It's just I don't know.
I mean, I thought it was really well executed. It's such a beautiful ball from whoever took the corner. It was Giles.
Weight to it.
Giles who comes in and just runs in with the perfect pace, meets it fantastically. And then, a bit of fortune with the touch on from Ladapo, but really, much of the damage is done at that point.
Yeah.
It is a very good goal, I'll put it that way, from a Rotherham perspective.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
The thing that just breaks my heart is it's out of nowhere. It's completely undeserved. We were on top.
Their first shot on target.
Their first shot on target's in. And it just feels like a mountain to climb from there, because I think mentally Wednesday have shown a bit more kind of mental resilience. But this still feels like a hammer blow, I would say.
Well, we've seen this game, haven't we? We've played this game at least a half dozen times this season, where we are the better team, we're on top, we don't grab our goal when we're on top, and the first time they look at our goal, they score. It's happened so many times this season. But
this is
unfortunate.
I know, I get that, but this is also it feels like a different vibe, because this is this isn't a case of us being in great chances and then spurning those chances.
There's some decent chances.
Well, but maybe the overall thing is there's the shooting boots to be put in a situation where you should be doing better. This feels like a severe lack of shooting boots.
Yeah.
The shooting boots were back in the changing room today. Like, every opportunity to put it straight down the throat of Vickers. Like, there's just no testing.
We did that 3 or 4 times. We did that 3 or 4 times in that first half, didn't we?
Yeah, I would say even maybe 5 times. Really, it felt
maybe it may well have been. It may well have
so
been.
often. And that was kind of, and then that kind of continued into the second half. Like, I mean, from there. Well, actually, there wasn't really. Actually, let's say, here's probably the best shot, and then that was Barron's free kick on the 60th minute.
Yeah.
He hit that very well, and that was a really good save by Vickers. That deserved to go in. I'm gonna be honest. That was such a good hit, and disappointing that he got a hand to it. And then, some more weird linesman calls because apparently there's an offside from there following there, and I'm like, this is just ridiculous.
I don't think anybody touched it.
No, well, he ran onto it, but I don't think it was never an offside. I don't know how you would have thought that.
It's bizarre that offside was just not the thing. Yeah. Offside didn't come into it. Isn't it another phase of play after the keeper makes a save anyway?
Probably.
That just felt like an abject, getting the rules wrong. Just getting it.
Yeah.
At what point has Byers been booked at this stage, or is he not booked yet?
That's the next point I've actually got to come.
Okay.
Third minute. Actually, there's a weird thing. I thought the linesmen were poor today.
Yeah,
but I thought Drysdale was okay as a manager. Sorry, as a referee.
I don't know. I really felt like. I mean, I know I'm in a partisan crowd. I really felt like they got everything. Every single time they went down, it got given, and we got very, very little.
Which I can also agree with. And then
because I think we were 3-1 on fouls after the first half, and 1, there hadn't been 4 fouls, and 2, it was not that uneven. And he didn't book any Rotherham players, did he?
No, he didn't. No. But I don't think they did anything that.
Cynical.
I don't think they did anything enough to, because I felt the yellows that we took were pretty.
Hutch, yeah.
I thought Byers was deserved. Like it was one that he at the moment. I'm like, and then I went back and looked at the replay, and I'm like, that's kind of
right. Okay, because I thought it looked like in full pelt, it looked like he'd done a really good job with the tackle.
It was almost there. It was slightly off, I think.
Weirdly, he didn't book Patterson when he should have. There was definitely a moment where Patterson should have got yellow and he didn't. When he absolutely just smashed the goalie out of sheer frustration.
I guess the interesting thing was I'd love to know, like, if they had the Sky commentary, whether there was any kind of bias there, because I just had the one chap on the international feed who sounds pretty disinterested with himself and his life, and then also that extends to League One football. But I mean, so they didn't make a point of. There was one occasion, I think Bannon had a shot that was blocked, but maybe hit some arms from whoever was defending that.
Yeah, there was a kind of crazy moment, was there? We tried to really give it a good go, didn't we? After that, conceding that first goal,
we did.
It was sort of all Wednesday for a period of time.
Yeah, well, so much of this game was Wednesday, and that's a disappointing thing. We've come out with fuck all.
Yeah, but we really were. Yeah, but there was a real there was an upping of the ante when we'd already been the better team. We sort of upped it a notch, and that kind of continued until Hunt went off. We kind of lost the place after Hunt.
I thought that was a strange substitution.
Don't think we ever really. Very odd. I knew you could kind of see why, because you keep the threat of Mendes Lang, and you add hopefully the sort of fox in the box element of Canberra.
Okay, well, there's something, we'll put a pin in that because there's something I want to come to as well. Anyway, so 63, Byers picks up a yellow. It says deserved. It wasn't the best challenge. 66-minute Johnson did really well to put in a great low cross, and Bergerson put it behind. The resulting corner, we got another corner. That was the one where Patterson looked to kind of just hook it back into the centre, and they put it behind again, which is annoyingly close.
Agonising.
And then we tried a really clever move a little bit similar to the clever move that Rotherham did. Bannon puts it in on an absolute plate
Back
for
to
Hunt,
Jack Hunt.
who scuffs it over, and it was just agonising. Such a bad finish.
It was. It was. It was.
71st
It really
minute.
worked well.
It did. And just completely the wrong finish, completely the wrong way to meet the ball. Bad. Very bad.
Yeah. Yep.
71st minute, Hutchinson absolutely nails one of their players and deservedly picks up a yellow.
Yeah, to be fair, Hutch did deserve that yellow.
That thing we put a pin in about Mendes-Lang looking like a threat. 73rd minute, Mendes-Lang's played in the clear, but two things here I'm going to offer you, Rich. One, the pitch really didn't help him to give some kudos.
Awful.
Though there was like a bounce that just completely robbed the pace of the ball and his advantage. And then two, he's looking tired at this stage. He was. He also
didn't look like he really had an idea in terms of approaching the goalkeeper. Normally, I think good strikers have what they want to do and where they want to move the keeper to make that happen in those situations. And his was very much, I'm just going to run and then kick it as hard as I can and hope for the best. Like, he wasn't trying to chip it over the goalie or curl it around the goalie or go around the goalie. He just sort of hit it and hoped. And it went, like so many a Wednesday shot today, straight at the goalie.
And was that Ladapo who was like rushing back on his kind of left?
I have no idea, sorry.
No worries, but I thought it was, and I was like, "Wow, that's some good."
That's
industry.
Pretty. Yeah, that's
pretty. But then,
good
Patterson did show a lot of industry to get back for some pieces for Wednesday, so I guess there's a bit of that. But then, yeah, it was just
when he smashed Ladapo.
And just a bad finish straight at the keeper. Patterson tried to rush in, but he was kind of crowded out at that stage.
I loved how determined he was to make sure a body part of his touched that ball and aimed it goalwards. Like, he was just, there was nothing going to stand between him and making that moment happen. Because he's like, I think he like dragged three men along with him. He's down on the floor and somehow managed to sort of poke it goalwards. But unfortunately, nothing came of that either.
And then what else can I tell you? I mean, well, at this point, this is when Hunt comes off for So.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of timeline with all this. Everybody.
You're right. Sorry, it was So rather than Canberra, wasn't it? Canberra was later.
Yeah.
Yeah. It maybe should have been Canberra.
This point in the game, I'll tell you everybody what happened here. So I was telling Rich about this before we started the podcast. So I really hate the 12 p.m. kickoffs. From an expat time frame, this is a 5 a.m. kickoff. It's on a Sunday. For the commitment we do for doing this podcast, it's just crap for me. But and I just midday.
From a pat time frame, it's a pain in the arse as well. To be fair,
it's just bad all around, isn't it? It's like the 12.
Yeah.
The midday games are just nightmares. So anyway, that would be 5 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So I got up at 6 with the ability to watch it through DAZN. DAZN's feed finished at that point, so it the whole length of it after it finishes the game just runs on for a bit. So it stopped, which then meant that where I was had to be reset. So I had to go and try and guess where in the timeline of the event where the game was. And I managed to jump forward to 90+3 at this point. So I was probably about 40 minutes behind the UK.
Oh dear. Yeah.
So at that point, then I found out that we'd conceded a second goal. So anyway, I went back and then basically just kind of, I'll be honest at this point, I kind of skipped forward through to where the goal was.
Yeah.
So you know what I said earlier about one really good goal and one goal that really annoys me? This is the one. This is This is a spawny fucking goal. Like, he did not, I don't care if Michael Smith has scored 50
I thought it was a
goals
good
this
finish.
season. I thought he swung his fucking boot at it and he was fucking fortunate.
Maybe.
Lucky bastard.
But another bad set piece, another second ball that we don't deal with.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's all a bit soft.
It's all a bit soft. It's all a bit easy. And that would have been the thing. I think if we'd managed to get a goal or, get a foothold in the game in that way, that would have been the thing is, can we stop ourselves giving away these free kicks? And I don't think we would have. I think we were always going to be open to this threat from Rotherham, and we've not been good at set pieces all season, and that's not changed. It's not going to change. The sort of thumping inevitability of it was Yeah, wholly depressing once it came. I don't think you missed too much in terms of your skipping because
No.
really we lost any semblance of looking like a team or any build-up play. We lost that once Hunt went off. Not that Hunt was the be-all and end-all, but I think we stopped trying to go through the phases and we just started lumping it forward and we didn't have the personnel to do it. Typical of Wednesday, our losses don't just come in terms of the scoreline, but it looks like we're going to lose Nathaniel Mendes-Lang for a period of time as well.
Really, I didn't. That was something I missed as well as part of this.
He reached out to control the ball and immediately was holding his hamstring and went off looking very, very depressed. So I'd be so surprised if we see him again anytime in the next month or so. So not only have we taken the L in terms of the result at the end of the day, we've lost one of our best players, unfortunately, which just seems to be the way of things at the moment. In addition to whatever result we get, we also lose another body or two. So Mendes-Lang, hopefully not. Hopefully, he's just being cautious. But when somebody has nobody anywhere near them and then they end up sitting down and then coming off, generally it doesn't mean good things, does it?
No. Let's be honest. It's it's pretty bad news.
So sorry to break that terrible news for you. We shuffled. So the result. So he'd moved out to the right when So came on. We shuffled the pack again when he went off, so that Patterson went out to right wing back and Canberry came on, and whatever issues we were having in terms of trying to set things up previously got even worse. Like it was just so disjointed and just really bad. Obviously, Rotherham are now fully committed to time wasting. The referee, as per usual, does nothing to stop that time wasting and seems to even kind of add to it somehow. There's a bit where he was like walking alongside one of their players, their third and final sub. He was walking alongside him, telling him off, kind of thing. And it's like, that you talking to him is allowing him to draw this out even longer.
Yeah.
If it matters, chuck a yellow card at them. That would speed it up a bit. But I always think as well. I think there should be a rule change that the player coming on gets the yellow in that case. Because what benefit is it to us that a player on the bench has now got a yellow card? They're wasting the time against us.
Yeah.
And the punishment is for some point in the future. So I think it should be the sub coming on that gets the yellow. Anyway, there we go. That's my little soapbox moment. Oh, any more from the
No, that's literally it for me. I'm going to be honest.
Bit of pith.
No more pith. No, it's all. I'm all out of pith.
No more
just more vinegar.
So yeah, I mean, a disappointing result, but it was a good performance by and large. It's a shame to see some of those old traits coming back to haunt us after our run of clean sheets. To know that we still have that kind of soft underbelly when it comes to set pieces. But they're a good team. They're top of the league for a reason. They're very, very effective. That's how you win the league, isn't it? You play pretty badly, but you get a result from it. You come away with the points. And at the end of the day, it doesn't actually matter how you play as long as you win. And the fact that we played well is some sucker for ourselves, but it's not, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't cut any mustard in terms of the league table at the end of the day. And this was a good opportunity. Other teams didn't do very well yesterday. This would have been a chance to really put ourselves in amongst it. I know that's psychological more than anything at this stage, but typical Wednesday not to grab that opportunity when it comes. But I don't think it was for want of trying. I don't think it was a lack of effort. Maybe a bit of a failure of technique at times. But I'm not disappointed in the game, in the way we played. I'm fairly proud of Wednesday and how the players played. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like it's looking quite good. I mean, it is sad to lose Mendes-Lang, but I mean maybe if the positives of that is that we try something else up front. I don't know. I saw more talking about Berahino in the press, and he owes a big, lofty favour to his mate Darren.
Oh, he does.
Seem to be giving the mentality and giving the rhetoric of that. Basically, it seems that the physicality of this league has kind of surprised him, and seemed to be saying that when he gets a chance, he'll be chomping at the bit. I hope so, because because it's looking bad up front. It's looking really, really bad, especially with the injuries.
Yeah.
Who knows when Gregory's going to be back? I mean, they seem to be making noises about a lot of players coming back, but I mean, the players that seem to be coming back seem to be largely talking about Dunkley and Iorfa. And I'm like,
yes, yeah.
That's fine, but I mean, there doesn't feel great struggle there right now. That's not where I don't think the spine of the team is really good. It's just that forward finishing options right now are really bad.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say no to Iorfa dropping in to the middle of that three.
I don't know who'd you, but I mean, I don't want to. I think it's been fairly decent.
Palmer and put and play Story, Iorfa, and Hutch. Probably that would be my three.
Sure. Anyway, who do you want to say? Looking at this team, I mean, in a weird way, I guess we've got to pick someone who's our boo boy. What is our opposite?
I know, villain of the
piece.
Villain of the piece.
I'm gonna go Patterson. I'd say.
Fair enough.
I don't know. The pitch is
the groundsman.
The groundsman, the linesmen.
Yeah.
Lines peoples.
Lines folks.
And
yeah.
The Wichita linesmen.
I don't know who had specific marking jobs, but the failure of 2 set pieces feels like maybe we should point a finger at a defender or two as well.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it is.
But
they made a point, I think, in the commentary to say we conceded 13 times, I think, prior to the goals from set pieces. So now we've conceded 15 times. But I think also they said Rotherham have scored something like 20 times this season from set pieces.
Yeah, it looks. I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
they look like they have someone that can take them and the bodies to really make it count. So yeah, fair dues. Oh, imagine being dangerous from set pieces, Luke. Can you imagine it?
I've seen it before, but it's been a long time. It's been a long time since since the League One promotion campaign and Rob Jones.
Reader and Rob Jones.
Yeah,
just
absolutely mullering people in the process.
And Chris Lines' floaty corners to feed them.
Exactly.
Gobble them up in the middle. Oh, those were the days.
I'd have Chris Lines back as a cornersman.
Cornersman. a corner folk.
As we record this on Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah. He's only just retired, hasn't he? He had a really long tail to his career.
Good for
Chris Lines.
On this Pooper Hole Sunday.
Yeah. So I guess that's it. It's one of the I think people going into this week, lots of people said, 2 points would not be too bad. 4 points would be sort of ideal. 3 points would kind of ended up between the two stools of those two predicaments. But
by stools you mean poop, right, Rich?
By poop, yeah, between the poops. I don't think it's the worst. Coming off that, looking ahead of it and saying, okay, we're playing the top 2 in the league. Getting 3 points out of those 2 games is not terrible. And if we'd drawn them both, it might have felt better because we were undefeated, but we'd have less points. So I can't be too disheartened by the week of work, I think. What will make a big difference, though, is how we do in the next couple of games, because we've got 2 games we really should be looking to win in Accrington and Donny back-to-back. And if we win those 2 as well, then in retrospect, getting 3 from the top 2, 3 points from playing the top 2 back-to-back feels like an okay result if we're able to add another 6 points on top of it. If we go and struggle in those games, which unfortunately we have done previously against teams we should be beating, that's a different thing altogether, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree.
But I think onwards and upwards. Let's try not to be too disheartened. I hope the team don't feel like this is a kind of. I don't think there's a need for too much soul searching. We were inches away in a race that goes for miles, and unfortunately, those slight measurements weren't in our favour today, but they will be on other days. And I think Darren Moore has said the classic, we'll play worse than that and win, which definitely is the case. We've played worse than that and won this season already. So yeah, I'm not too disheartened going into the week ahead, and a win in the next game would really make things feel a lot nicer. Good stuff. All right, Let's wrap it up. Look after yourself, Luke. Look after yourself, folks at home. It's a scary world out there. Stay safe, and we'll talk again next week. Cheerio.
See you, Rich. Have a good one, everyone.